Hi friends, Rhonda Ferguson here with RF Wellness. I help people get healthy in their mind, body, spirit. I'm also an identity theft restorer. I teach people who they are and their purpose in this life in order to free and empower them. And so today, rather than making my own teaching video, I invited my friend Sherry Jones here, and we are just going to invite you into my dining room. And we're going to just talk about our journey. Sherry was diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago, and we just wanted to share with you how she experienced and received her healing in order that it can help you or a loved one out there that has a chronic disease. So we're just going to have a conversation, two girlfriends talking, and invite you in to just join our conversation. So welcome, Sherry.
Thanks.
So we haven't done this since she was here. We've talked about it,
We
and
talk every day, but
we talk.
not like this.
We talk a lot. We text and all that, but to actually sit and remember our journey, I think, to be honest, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was painful, and like I could cry right now.
I know. We have the Kleenex ready.
Yeah, I have the tissue. It was a lot. It was a lot. So I'll just let Sherry start with. She grew up actually in Chicago. So she was born and raised. So what was your life like there?
I mean, life was fine. You know, it was cold, and but you know, I was born and raised there, and then I came to California in October of 2014. Yeah, 2014. So 5 years ago. But this October will be 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, coming to California was always my dream.
But back there, you were a
I
realtor?
I was a successful realtor back in Chicago. And, you know, at that time I was married, and I always wanted to come to California. And
the beach and the palm trees.
The beach and the palm trees and live, you know, the life of 90210, you know. And not quite there yet, but... you know, I wanted to come out here where it was nice and warm and more opportunity, you know, to come out. So we did. We came out here in October of 2014.
And you have two boys.
I have two boys. They're teenagers now. They grow up fast.
Yikes.
They grow up fast. One's driving.
Wow.
Lord help me. Yeah.
Okay, so we started meeting because I offer counseling sessions for an hour at a time. So we would meet, I don't know if it was weekly or bi-weekly. We're just meeting and counseling. And
yep.
You were working what were you doing as a?
I was working, I guess you would call it like a loan assistant in a sense, because I was working with a wonderful lender here in the Valley, in Temecula. And I had a fabulous job. It was great. But, you know, when that job started 2 weeks prior was when I got separated. And so that's when we really started talking more, because I needed help with the separation and so forth. So, but yeah, I was working, and life was good. I mean, you know,
she was crazy busy. She'd walk around with she'd come to my meetings with 2 cell phones.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, if you want to hire a realtor, you need to hire her, because she goes all in.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you were doing. It was a lot.
I was very dedicated. You know, I was blessed to have a good job because my husband left, and it was just up to me to take care of those boys, and I wasn't going to let anything stop me. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I was blessed with a fabulous job. It was a wonderful work environment, and my goal was to just be my best at that role, so I could grow and be more and do more with that role. I never felt, though, at that time that I was working too much. I never really did, because I enjoyed
you loved it.
I loved it. And they say, you know, if you do what you love, you're not really working, right? Or however that saying goes. So even though I worked a lot, I never felt that stress. It was like a stress relief for me, because I felt that I was doing well. And I was supporting my children. I was paid very well, you know, and I could take care of my kids. I mean, you know, when he left me, I didn't know. We were basically homeless when he left. He left us broken homeless. So, you know, I felt that, you know, God had my back. I didn't know how I was going to make things work, but by the grace of that job, you know, so every time I would pour myself into it, I just felt like, you know what, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And I worked with a fabulous boss and a wonderful company that allowed me to do that. So it was good. It was good.
But at that time, Sherry was under a
A
tremendous
lot of
amount of
stress.
stress. I mean, she's in the middle of a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
She's the sole provider of her home. She's trying to,
Yeah.
support these two boys. She
Yeah.
literally had to start over
I had to
from
start
scratch,
all over.
like completely.
We had nothing. In the beginning, I had to get a roommate, and that was hard. That was real hard. It was just, and you know what it was? It was just two people that was the odd couple
Yeah, just different.
that tried to live together, and that didn't work.
Right.
But
that was another stress.
It was another stress on top of the divorce.
On top of providing,
Mm-hmm.
taking care of two boys, and even the
the
stress and responsibility of two boys.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much what her life looked like.
Yeah.
And so then what happened in July? Was it July?
Yeah.
Of 2017?
July 21st, 2017. I'll never forget it. That was the day that I got sick. And I ended up in the hospital. And
when you say sick, what was going on?
It's not really the best topic to talk about, but just to say it in a nice, clean way,
Mm-hmm.
I suppose it would just be, I literally went to the bathroom and nothing but blood came out, and it wasn't just a little bit of blood, like, well, that was odd, I must have eaten something weird or whatever. I mean, it was
a lot.
Like, I don't even know how much blood I lost, but it was a lot of blood in clumps and clumps.
And you drove yourself to the hospital, right?
I did.
That's how she is. She's crazy.
Well, you know what was funny? Where I was with my job at that time is we were moving from one office to another. And my boss said to me, go, to the new office. We're getting the phones, go let everybody in. We're getting the phones, coming in that day and so forth. So I was there by myself, and I had to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, well, this isn't right, and it was summer, and I texted my boss, and I said, something's not right. I think I have to go to urgent care. And I called my boys, and I said, could somebody come with me? And neither one of them could drive, because this was a couple of years ago. And, I just kept losing blood. And I remember when I was in the ER, I actually almost passed out one time because there was so much blood that I was losing.
Sorry if you hear my dog.
Yeah. He's my therapy dog right now.
Yeah. Okay, so now you're at the hospital, you're in ER.
Well, first I went to urgent care, which was across the street from the hospital. And they said, you need to get to the ER right away. And they said, but here's the thing, how are you going to get there? And they said, it was literally right across the street. And they're like, we can send an ambulance, but it's going to take a half hour for the ambulance to get here. I'm like, dude, I can see it right out the window, So he said, we will wheelchair you to your car and you can drive across the street. And so anyways, we went in there, and they kept me in ER all Friday and most of Saturday, but then Saturday they brought me up to, I don't know what it's called, but it was in between ICU and ER. It was a private room. It was critical care, I guess, or whatever the case may be. So I was there. Then, and they put me through all kinds of tests, and they didn't know what was going on, stuff like that. But then Sunday morning was when I was there all by myself, because, everybody would, my boys would come and stay with me and whatever, but Sunday morning was when they came in, and they said, it was a guy in a white coat, and I'll never forget this. A guy in a white coat comes, and he says, so we've got your test results. And I'm like, yeah, okay, what? And here I'm thinking, I ate something bad, or, it was an ulcer, or, I don't know, what it was. And then he says to me, well, we think you have cancer. And I'm like, you hear those words, and you really don't hear anything else. They just talk like it's no big deal. Like, they ordered something off the menu or something. You know what I mean? Like how they talk. They, because I get it. They deal with it every day or whatever. But I didn't hear anything else, and I didn't have anybody with me. I was in the room all by myself.
Oh my gosh, that had to be so scary.
Yeah, and then so I say, okay, well, what do you mean? What kind? And he says, well, we don't know yet. We think it's colon cancer. So then I said, well, how do you know? And this is the thing that really pissed me off was when he said, well, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's cancer. And I literally had nothing else to say at that point. I had nothing else to say. And he was in the room with the nurse, and then they left. I mean, they weren't even in with me more than 2-3 minutes. I mean, it was that fast. And then they left. And I was all by myself, and I did not know what to do. But ironically, my boss was texting me before then, checking in on me. And I didn't know who to call, what to do. What do you do? But he just happened to text me and say, how you feeling, honey? And I called him right away, and I just lost it. I just lost it. And then, probably within a half hour or whatever, my friends were coming in, just because they were going to come anyways, you know what I mean? And then we had to start dealing with it. So, anyways.
So then you said when I came into the picture was one of her friends called me in on Sunday. Was it Sunday?
I think they called you Sunday. It was like Monday or Tuesday. I had to go in for more tests because now they needed to figure out what was happening. What kind it was, how serious it was, what are we going to do? It was all that kind of stuff. So it was either Monday or Tuesday that I had to go and have more intense tests done where they knocked me out.
Yeah, they knocked her out. And so when I was called to come see her, she was. I think you were gone. You were still testing.
When you got there. Yeah.
And then they brought her back in, and she was out of it. But the room was filled with several people.
Yeah.
And then the doctor comes in.
Now again, I was out at this point, so I was there, but I wasn't there.
So you have to know a little bit about me. Is that yes, I'm a spiritual counselor, but I'm also a certified nutrition and wellness consultant. More like a naturopathic on that end of the spectrum. So I'm all for like natural healing, like juicing and vitamins and minerals and herbs and essential oils and all this stuff. So I love doctors. I respect what they do, but I have a hard time when a doctor says, this is what you have and this is what you have to do. Like, to me, it's like, whoa, hold your roll here. Like, let's catch our breath. Let's process this. Let's get some other, opinions. Let's, calm down, everybody. Well, so the doctor comes in. She's out cold, and she has several friends in the room, and the doctor comes in and says, well, this is what she has, stage 4 rectal melanoma, and we're going to have to do da-da-da-da. And everybody in the room was just kind of like in agreement with him, like, okay, yes, okay, we'll do what you say. And I'm just like, whoa, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. We need some time to think about this. Like, things that were, serious operations of cutting out organs and stuff. Like,
well, we learned all that all throughout the journey. Because at the hospital, they didn't know what it was at the hospital. We had to go through another month of tests before they diagnosed me with the stage 4 rectal melanoma. That was a month later.
And then everywhere we went,
that was a month later. So,
we kept going. We kept doing what we were supposed to. We didn't just go home and say, we're going to just juice. No, we kept going to doctors, surgeons, oncologists.
Well, I was 9 days in the hospital, still not knowing exactly what I had. But it was 9 days at the hospital because I had to get my strength back. Because I lost all the blood. Then, of course, you're in the hospital, you're not eating. You're certainly not resting because they're coming in and they're pricking you every couple hours, trying to make sure you're okay. My dad came in, from Chicago to stay with me for a little bit. They sent me home after 9 days. But then it was all those follow-up doctors of what to do and so forth. And then it was after that was when they diagnosed me. And then, but when the day that they diagnosed me, was not at the hospital. It was a different location. And then that's where they said that. But my other 2 friends were there. You weren't there at that time. My other 2 friends were there. And my one friend said, so this is what's going to take her out. But this is where it's key. Let me back up a little bit because this is where it's key. Because Rhonda was with me the whole time. And, she comes in. She had no fear whatsoever. She's like, okay, you got cancer, whatever. We're going to beat this. It's not a big deal. And I'm like, what do you this isn't a big deal. But the confidence and the strength that Rhonda had, still has, is just something that I long for, really.
You have
And I have it, but
she has it.
she has a little bit more than I have it. But anyways, here's the key thing that you said to me, and I don't know if we talked about this or not. The day before I went in there, you said, you go in there and you just pretend like you're going to go buy a used car and you're getting information. Mm-hmm. You said you do not accept or declare anything negative. You go in there and you're just like, okay, whatever, next, and pretend like you're going to be shopping around for a used car. Yes. That's the mentality that you have to have going in there. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, okay, and I mean, I can't, unless you have been through this yourself, there is no way to explain or articulate the fear that you have, because I was so weak, I could not walk. I was in a wheelchair.
Yes.
And my girlfriends took me to the hospital to get my final diagnosis, pushed me around in a wheelchair. I was so scared. I had this big teddy bear that I would cling to, and I just kept trying to remember what Rhonda said. Just go in there and get the information. This is not a death sentence. Go in there and get the information. Just go get the information. And if I didn't have that pep talk from you, and kept replaying it in my mind, as terrified as I was, that was a very critical first step that I know now, but I didn't realize then.
Yeah.
I didn't realize then. Because when that doctor comes in, he's got, his little computer and everything, and says, I'll never forget it. He says, okay, well, here's what we have is stage 4 cancer, and he said it's in your adrenals, it's in your lymph nodes, and it's rectal melanoma. And I lost it. Because you hear stage 4, and unless you're better educated, that pretty much means a death sentence in one way or another. And I literally just put my hands over my ears and said, I don't declare this, I don't declare this. And the only reason why I did that is because I had you in my mind of how to handle this. And my one girlfriend, she's consoling me, and, she's crying, she's holding me and consoling me. And my other friend said, so is this what's going to take her out? And he said, yes. And I kept going, I don't declare this, I don't declare this. And then I would stop and I'd look at the doctor and say, I mean no disrespect. And then I would just go back and say, I don't declare this, I don't declare this. And the doctors wanted to give me more information. I had to go see him, and then I had to go see another one. And I told my girlfriends, I said, I want to hear it. You go get all the information, whatever, just don't tell me. I don't want to hear it. Yeah. I don't want to hear it. And then I remember we came home and I called you, and then that's really a lot where,
So then her dad was here for only a short time, and then he had to go back to work in Chicago. And so since I had been a caregiver with people who have chronic diseases or the elderly, he asked me if I would be her caregiver. But
because I couldn't take care of myself.
Yeah,
the kids were in school.
Was pretty much bedridden.
I literally could go from the couch to the bathroom, and I had to hold onto the wall the whole time going, and then come back. And at that point, I lived in a 2-story house. I couldn't get upstairs. The kids were in school, so Rhonda took care of me in the mornings.
Yeah, just because I had to counsel in the afternoon, so I would go there. So what would our time together look like each
You'd
morning?
Come at like 8:30 in the morning, and make me breakfast or whatever, and we would have our day, and then you would leave at 12:30. Then I'd only have a few hours left by myself before the kids would come home. But our days were they always started off with prayer, and like a prayer counseling session. But then for months it was going to this doctor and that doctor and going here and going there, and the stress of it all.
Oncologists and surgeons, and
it was
we were shopping. we were literally trying to figure out what do we do, because this is crucial if you have cancer or someone does, or any chronic disease. I had to maintain for Sherry that she is healed, like regardless of what we saw, that verse, walk by faith not by sight. that literally was our journey. Like, she had, what, 13 blood transfusions?
And it was 16. It was something like that. It was.
I mean,
like
she
16.
was she couldn't eat. She was constipated because of the tumors. She was bleeding. So we were back and forth to emergency doctors, all of it. And at the same time, I keep telling myself and her, no, you're healed. You're healed. By his stripes, by Jesus' stripes, you're healed. We're just trying to figure out how to receive that health, that healing. And so, again, remember, I'm more of the naturopathic, so I'm like trying to shove down juicing for her, getting her to take supplements. She was doing essential oils. I mean, we looked for. Oh yeah, we did a lot of research.
We
going to Mexico.
We looked into that. We looked into we were real big on learning and watching The Truth About Cancer, because you did that prior to all of this, so you taught me about that. I had to watch those. I had to watch the Chris Beat Cancer, because you were familiar with all of that. But I'll be honest, to just even back up for a moment, it took me a good month to even get into that frame of mind of even dealing with this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was just like, I had to get to that mindset of, well, how do I even handle with this? I don't know if it was really denial, because I knew I had it. Right. And, I had the symptoms. Yeah. But I had to get that strength in my mind of how to move forward and go with all of this. So it was like a combination of natural, from what you knew and had the knowledge of, and then the Western medicine of what the doctors kept telling us to do. Yes. And when you say shopping, I mean, it literally was shopping. Yeah. We were going to the doctors that they recommended. Yes. Then we were looking at the doctors that we were trying to find. Yeah. Out of state. Mm-hmm. We lived out of the country.
So in our minds, we were like, no, she's healed. We do not, she's healed. We just believe that. And it wasn't just me. She had a lot of friends who came,
the prayer team,
the chaplain.
The chaplain came. Oh my God, I love him. The chaplain came, but I had a vision in the hospital. Remember I told you about the vision that I had in the hospital? I remember that. I was there, it was my first couple days that I was there, and I had a vision when I was sleeping. I had a vision that Jesus came into my room, and remember, I was on the hospital bed, and I just felt like he had this lasso. Is that what you call, when you lasso,
like a cowboy?
And it was just this. He was in his bright, he was in all white. And the lasso was just bright white, and he just kept circling my bed, and I knew that was him healing me. And now looking back at it, obviously it was, but I had that vision, and I kept holding on to that vision. Mm-hmm. And I told the chaplain that, and I was telling you that, and we kept circling back to that. Mm-hmm. But even though I had that, now I remember, now I know, but back then I knew, but I didn't have the 100% belief in that first month.
Right, because it's hard when your body is giving you symptoms.
And I got down. Remember, I'm 100 pounds soaking wet, right? And I lost all that weight. I lost all that blood. I got down the one time when we were going to the one doctor, and I had to get weighed all the time. The last time I was weighed, I was 79 pounds.
What do you weigh now? You
want
to share?
Now I'm back at 100. I'm all happy. I'm probably even a little over 100, which is I was never over 100 pounds unless I was pregnant.
We were trying to work hard to get her to gain weight. So what happened was, at the end, I remember the last blood transfusion she had, and for some reason, I took her phone with me to go. I went to bring the car up, to pick her up, and her phone rang, and it was the chaplain. Mm-hmm. And I answered it, and he said, "How are you doing, as a caregiver?" And I was like, that's when, it was the first time, I really, tapped into my feelings, and I was like, I'm struggling. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, this is, we've been at, I don't know how many blood transfusions, what the symptoms look like, what reality looks like before my human eyes, it does not look good. And I'm like, I'm getting weary. And he yelled at me, actually. He said, you do not grow weary. He said, if you grow weary, that's like doubting And there's this verse in the Bible in James that says, if you doubt, you can expect nothing from the Lord. And like that just like snapped me out of my weariness. I'm like, oh, we're doing this. Like she's healed. She is healed. Like I'm over this. So after that,
but that was like months.
That was
months.
like 3 months.
It was from July till October, and it was months.
So now it's like September, I think, when that happened. The end of September.
It was probably the end of September or
October.
In October, because we were just getting defeated. I mean, doctors telling me that they wanted to cut out all my organs.
Yeah, we drove down to like San Diego, which is like an hour and a half south of us, and we saw like the best surgeon.
I really think so. I mean, and you know, I don't want to discredit any of the doctors because you know they're here for a reason, you know, and they're good at what they did. But I just knew that some of those things that they were suggesting, I did not want to do. So then the one doctor suggested immunotherapy, remember? Mm-hmm. And I did, it was Friday the 13th in October of when I did one round of immunotherapy because they said, you know, this is better than chemotherapy. This is the new improved, you know, this is the way to go. And I just, even though we were doing all the natural stuff, at that moment in time, I did want to try it. I wanted to try it. I wanted to see. And anyways, without going into all the details of what kind it was, because that's not my purpose here, but I did try it. And it was Friday, and I went in. My girlfriend drove me, and she sat there with me the whole time, drove me home.
I was out of town at a wedding.
Yeah, I remember that. And that night, I started declining fast. I got a fever, and it was like the chills, and it was horrible. It was horrible. And but they kept an eye on me. And then Saturday I wasn't getting any better. Saturday night, I like literally wasn't responding to things, and the fever wouldn't break. And I remember my girlfriend came at 4:00 in the morning. She literally, because everybody had a key to my house. And she came in at 4:00 in the morning, and she says, "You're not answering your phone." I'm like, "It's 4:00 in the morning." You know, we're kind of joking now, but she was terrified because none of us would respond, and she was really nervous of what was going on. So she came in, and she's like, "Sherry, you're not getting any better. You're not getting any better." And she says, "You gotta go to the hospital." So I don't remember if it was her husband or my girlfriend next door. One of the husbands carried me to the car and put me in so I could go back to the hospital. From the immunotherapy, it was like a bad reaction I had. And then I also got bronchitis and a UTI, you know, from that. So I was back in the hospital again.
And you were allergic to the medication they gave you.
They gave me penicillin.
And then you broke out in hives.
And then that's when the flashing went with my eyes. Oh my God, please. I mean, it's just like...
It just went from bad to worse.
It did. Like. It went from bad to worse. And then my birthday was that Monday. October 16th is my birthday. So that Monday I spent in the hospital, and my son was there with me. But the doctor that was... Because this was a different hospital. The doctor that was there with me, he came in and he says, "How you doing?" And I felt better because I got more blood and everything, and they got the medicine out of me, and so forth. And then he says, "Sherry," he says, "looking at all your tests," he says, "other than this issue, you're good." And I'm like, huh, isn't that something that, I mean, because they got like the penicillin and stuff out of me, whatever they gave me, they got out of me. But he's like, you just need to really focus on this one issue. But I mean, I was still bad. I was still bad. But it was about a week or so later when I had that blood transfusion that you were talking about, where I don't know what else to do. And in that my point, I remember the following week, it's not that I was giving up, but I was just frustrated. I was just scared.
We were tired.
And frustrated.
It's been a long journey.
Looking at my kids, "Mommy, what's wrong with you?" I am their world. They are my world. I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with this. And then October 26th,
Well, before then, you remember you just shared with me before the video that when I was like, so she started after the immunotherapy, she started rapidly declining, and I just had to like kind of sit with myself and God and just say, am I gonna continue to go through the end of this journey with her doing chemo or immunotherapy or whatever, which would have killed her. It would have.
For me, the way how I was going,
she was just too weak and
too frail.
And I mean, she was frail. Like what, 80 pounds. Her body just could not handle it. I'm not saying it's not for other people or that would help you, or
because people, it's worked for others.
It has worked for others,
it just
but
wasn't working for me.
It wasn't for her. And so I had to make a decision. Am I going to stay here and be a part of this, or I can't. I just can't do it. And that's what I was like, I have to be true to myself, and I can't do this anymore. So I just went to her house one morning and just laid
October 26th.
I laid it out to her, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. If you're going to keep doing immunotherapy, I'm not going to stay here and watch you die. Like, we can't do this. Like, it's going to kill you. And so she said when I left.
So that was before. Yeah, that was before October 26th.
Yeah, that was before October 26th.
But that was probably like a couple days before.
Okay.
Because, yeah, when you left, I didn't know what to do. I literally just bawled because it was like, I knew I didn't want to die that way. You know, like, I didn't, at that point, I was like, am I really going to die? Am I dying now? I mean, we're all going to die, right? You know, we're all going to go to heaven, but, well, I hope so. But, you know, it's like, is this the way how I want to go out? I don't want to go out. I don't want my kids looking at me suffering. I don't want to go through days, months, or years of this, you know? And because Rhonda said, you either go through this immunotherapy and whatever else they tell you to do. And in my head, for me, I thought that was a long, slow death. Or we bite the bullet and we step out in faith and we go 100% natural. And I thought to myself, I got a 50-50 chance. Which way do you want to go?
So she decided to go take a chance with me. And then now I'm getting chills right now. And I could cry. Because
I remember I called and I said, okay, let's do this. Mm-hmm. But I still wasn't
100%.
I still wasn't. I mean, how
you don't know. You don't know if you're making the right decision. You're totally like jumping off a cliff.
Yeah.
In faith. Like, okay, God, we're trusting you to catch us.
Yeah.
So then.
But I remember the morning of October 26th because I was crabby that day. Because can you imagine everything that's going on through your mind? You know, I can't walk. I can't take care of myself. I can't make my own meals. I'm sending my kids off.
Eat, hardly.
No, I couldn't. It was like worse than eating like a bird. I mean,
yeah.
And you know, I send my kids off to school, and I'm crabby. And at this point, I was getting so bad where when you would come, I was still upstairs because there were times where I could get myself downstairs. Yeah. Now
she had to stay up in her bed.
I had to stay up in my bed, and I'm watching whatever I was watching in that morning, all crabby like this. And you come in.
So that morning, I was like tears. So that morning before I went to Sherry's house, I literally like cried out to God, like, we need help here. Like, I need to know. We need deliverance. Like, we need to know what to do. Like, we're clueless. We felt like we had like done everything. Like, we researched everything. Gerson, therapy, we did everything.
And some of it we took.
Bits and pieces
from everything.
Yeah. So I just cried out to God, and I got this vision. And I got this vision of this immune system, and it was like a fountain of beautiful colors. And wrapped around this immune system were these black snakes. And on the snakes were words called fear, unforgiveness, bitterness, stress, anxiety, shame, guilt. And attached to these snakes were these blood vessels in this vision attached to a tumor. It was like those snakes, those fears, those strongholds in her life were like feeding these tumors. And God put it on my heart. This is what I felt like I heard him say was, go to her house, ask her what she was going through when she got diagnosed, have counsel her through it, like tell her, go through the truth of each situation she was going through, pray over her, and she'll be healed. So I actually drew this, and I have a video on it. If you want to go on YouTube, Rhonda Ferguson, I actually have my chart where I actually drew this out before I went to her house with the snakes, with the tumor, everything. And I was just like, oh, we're doing this. We're over this. And I like march up her stairs with my chart.
She throws the Bible on my bed and she says, "This is what we're doing today." And it took,
here goes another thing.
Here we go. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't want to hear this. I am not in the mood for this today because I'm just
over it.
I am not. I say I'm not of sound mind because, and I sit and I think back of, my friend. There were so many people that would come to my home and pray with me and do many things. But I was like, when I look back now, I think I was rude. I was probably bitchy. I was, what I mean? Because, think about it.
Who wouldn't be?
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. So here she comes, and I'm like, whatever, But then it was literally a 3-hour prayer session.
It wasn't really like a prayer session. It was more like just like counseling her, like, so what were you going through? And she would name certain things or people that she was struggling to forgive or stress at work, things that she had in her life. And we just I wrote them down, I took notes, and we just did one at a time. And okay, well, what's the truth about that? What's the truth about that person? And she would just pray and just like, God, forgive me. Like, I didn't see it that way. I didn't see that person that way. I didn't see that situation. But what she was doing was literally cutting those blood vessels, those strongholds that were feeding those tumors. And then I had some oil and I anointed her and prayed over her. I mean, it wasn't any magic thing. I was just like agreeing with God, like, thank you, God, in Jesus' name, she's healed. Like, but she got healed when she stopped agreeing with those stressors, those fears, those strongholds. That's what healed you.
Yeah, it was all God. I mean, it was all God. Yeah. But it was just that prayer session I call it prayer session. But
she calls it prayer session.
But I mean, going in with what now? To feeling of like the pressure off. Just
like
almost
bricks lifted off of you.
Almost like the pressure cooker released. You know what I mean? It was just
all that you were holding on to.
That I didn't even realize I was holding on to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You just don't.
And that's the key. You don't realize what you're holding on to. It's so important. And this is what I teach my clients is that every morning you spend time and go in yourself, inside your heart. Yeah. What are you struggling with? Like, this is so important because those issues get stored in your tissues. Remember that. Yeah. Your issues get stored in your tissues. You've got to deal with your issues. You can't ignore them, sweep them under the rug, hope they go away. No, because they will manifest in your body. Yeah. So then we had that day, and then what happened to you?
Literally the next day, I was starting to feel better. Because just to remind you, every day when I would go to the bathroom, there was blood. And there were days where there was a lot of blood. And then there was days that there was little blood. But every day, I would say, Lord, thank you for healing me. Lord, through what Rhonda taught me, through healing rooms,
the
chaplain, through
the books you read.
The books I read, everything was just teaching me how to have my faith in the Lord of thank you for healing me. Even though it wasn't instant, we all want society, we want it like that. There's still things I want like this, I have no patience. No patience. But literally that next day, I felt a little bit better. And then the next day, I felt a little bit better. And the next day, I felt a little bit better. So that was October 26th.
Our prayer day.
Thanksgiving, I was at Disneyland. I was at Disneyland walking, and I outlasted my 2 teenagers. I mean, amazing. Amazing. And then I had friends come in the beginning of December. We went back to Disneyland. And I'm like, you know what? I can go back to work. I feel good. I can go back to work. Now, mind you, all of this, though, the Lord showed us a huge protocol that I now follow, of all natural, going back to what you said, oils and supplements and eating right and prayer and what am I missing? I mean, there's so
Not the
many
juice.
things.
You won't do the juice.
I am not drinking a carrot. Listen, you want a carrot? I want it in barbecue sauce with a chicken wing. I do not want to drink my carrots, okay? Sorry. I don't want to drink a carrot.
I could not get her to drink juice to save my life.
I did though, but I did it complaining.
I would make juice, and her son would come and get it and take it to her, and she'd send it back in the kitchen for me to sweeten it up with oranges
and put a pineapple in there.
And then she'd finally get to where she'd sip it a little bit and leave it.
She never did give me a chicken wing.
Thank God he healed her, because juice was not going to heal her.
It was not. It was not. Not for me. There's people out there that it works
exactly. For. That was another thing that wasn't
was not
for her.
For me. I do not want to drink my vegetables. I love salads. I don't want to drink them.
So now here we are.
Here we are.
Almost
2 years
later.
Almost 2 years.
And what's your life like now?
Oh, it's just fabulous.
She's back. Now she's in real estate again.
Full time, because I left it for a little while. So now I'm back full time. Full time real estate.
So if you're in the valley, in the valley here in Temecula, I will put her contact information. Also, if you are on this journey of chronic disease and you want to contact myself or Sherry, I'll put our contact information in the comments.
And I'm happy to talk to anybody because, like I say, this is a process and this is a protocol. I mean, the supplements that I take in a day are endless, but I know I have to do that. And there's things that remember the oxygen chamber?
We totally forgot about the oxygen chamber.
And if you want to go to the oxygen chamber, hit me up because there's a fabulous place here. Is it Temecula or is it Marietta? I think it's Temecula.
Yeah. French
Valley area.
Yeah.
And we just fell in love with her.
But getting her in the first time,
that was horrible.
I thought I was going to have to pick her up and put her in
I couldn't get up, first off.
Yeah.
And then I have to go into this thing.
And you were scared.
I was scared.
She was scared.
Everything we tried
was scary.
Scary. Everything I tried was scary because you just didn't know.
Yeah.
It was just fear and fear and fear.
It's scary to do it, but it's also scary that you put hope in that it's going to work and it doesn't. In that too, like you're not going to get the results. But all that to say, it was a crazy, amazing, long journey. We both are better for it. Better people, more loving, compassionate.
Yeah, and there's so much that I owe to. Like I say, everything that you and I went through. All the people that came to my home, people that cooked for me, that made me meals, that prayed with me, that continued to come to pray, the healing room,
ran errands for you, took you places,
took my kids to school, picked them up. I mean, it goes on and on.
It takes a village.
It does. It takes a village. So when people say, "Oh, well, what do they need?" or "What do they need?" a lot of times they just need you to sit there.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they need going to the grocery store. They need, whatever. And one thing my one friend said to me, because I don't need help. This is especially before I got sick. I'm Superwoman. I could do everything. And my one friend said to me, you have to allow people to help you because you are robbing them of their blessings if they don't help you. And I'll never forget that when she said that. So allow people to help you. They're there to help you.
And since I've been through this journey with Sherry, I've helped several other people in so many ways, from healing from chronic disease or obesity or just depression, bipolar. Like, it's so much about what you believe, your mindset. Your thoughts create chemicals, and the chemicals, if they're negative, they're going to create toxins in the body. So that's been our journey. You want to say anything else?
It's been one heck of a journey. And there's a lot that we didn't talk about because we don't want to bore you with all the details. But, I think just to hit on one note, maybe just as like a recap, is I had that vision that I was going to be saved. and healed. And then I also had a vision that I would be on stage giving a testimony, because my goal is to help others of have that hope that they can be healed. Because there were so many people that I reached out to. What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? You know, and they would come back and give me pieces. And now that I'm better, healed, people are coming to me in bits and pieces. Well, what did you do? What did you do? So again, I'm not a doctor. Let me put the disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm none of this. I'm just God's daughter, and I have been blessed by being healed. I've been healed. So I'm happy to share, but I have to disclose that it's no, quote, Western medicine. It's nothing. It's just what works for me.
It's all about what you believe. So again, I will put Sherry's contact information. If you want her to come and speak, that would be awesome.
If you want help with real estate,
and real estate. What do you do?
Real estate investing.
Real estate investing. She's amazing, successful. Like, I will put her contact information. So I love you guys, and this is the end of this video, and be sure to share it with those that you know could really benefit from it. I'll see you next time.